I'm speaking figuratively, of course, like the last time that I committed suicide. Social suicide. All right, that's as much as I can sing because, as we've mentioned before, legal will be up our asses if we infringe on copyright. But
you really nailed that.
I did, right? But those lines feel pretty relevant right now with tours being canceled, Hot Topic closed, and all of us are being encouraged to distance ourselves socially instead of our usual emotional distance. But I'm kidding. Seriously though, I hope all of you out there are keeping yourselves safe from infection. Wash your hands, wipe down surfaces, sneeze and cough into elbows, not in people's faces, and most importantly, socially distance yourself. But anyway, you're here on the Mosh Pit to forget about the coronavirus with myself, Michelle, and my co-host,
Kelly here.
And our other co-host, Brianne, who is missing. She has the corona. No, I'm just kidding. She actually has some sort of strep throat or something. Her voice is very raspy, so unless you guys want to hear her talk like this the entire time, we decided it was best she take an episode off and rest. So we've got a lot of fun in store for you guys today. So we'll jump right into it. We did miss International Women's Day, but it is still Women's Month. Is that just Women's Month?
I think so. I think March is, Women's Month.
So what we're going to do today is shout out our favorite punk and pop punk women. Because, we're an all-female podcast. And, while the men are awesome in the scene, we're a little underrepresented, and, we want to give, empower women and all of those little girls out there to start playing drums, start playing guitar, start singing, start listening to all of it, So, I think we can obviously start out with, quote unquote, the queen.
The queen. I was going to say it. The queen. Our queen.
Hayley Williams of Paramore. She is kind of one of the OGs, Misery Business came out 06, 07, something like that.
I think so. Or earlier.
Yeah, and they had an EP that came out probably 04, I want to say. All We Know Is Falling. And that's when I started listening to Paramore. And it was just kind of I listened to them and then they blew up and I'm like, oh yeah, I know these guys. But, she's had a lot of controversy over the years and whatnot, but she's overall a pretty badass chick. She currently is going on her first solo tour.
So badass.
Especially because she has been attributed to Paramore for so long. Her going solo is pretty cool. And she is obviously a businesswoman because she has her brand of hair dye, Good Dye Young, and I have been dying to try it for a very long time.
Dying to try it.
Ha ha. You guys know I'm great with puns. And she's never been an overtly political musician, but with After Laughter, not their most recent, or was that the most recent album?
Yes.
Before
her solo stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Changed that a bit. A lot of, I don't, and I still don't think it was very overtly political. It was just, people were able to relate to the political climate right now, those songs, and she had said that it's really interesting hearing that people can relate to that album because of what they've had and the anxieties that a lot of young people and minority people are going through because of it, and she feels that there's responsibility that's been put on this to help push forward healthy change, and musicians have a huge platform for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's also stopped playing Misery Business at live shows, I think in 2018, because she said the lyrics really haven't aged well, which I get. Obviously it's a fan favorite, so that was probably a tough call to make, but I think that's another kind of move of kind of being a little bit political. You want to draw a line somewhere, it's a really important song to them, but what kind of message are you sending?
Yeah, totally agree. That's definitely a good message to send. Like, yeah, this was me once upon a time, and I'm not gonna shy away from that. But I've grown up, I've evolved, and I realized that that was pretty shitty of me. Doesn't take away from her feelings at that time or any fans who like can relate to that song.
Right.
And then finally, she's spoken a lot on her own personal struggles with her mental health, especially, as when she went through her divorce with Chad Gilbert of Newfound Glory. So I think just any band person, because they have such a huge platform, them showing themselves as human and that they struggle too, I think is really important.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. And another kind of example of that, another woman in the scene to shout out is Jenna McDougall. Is that how you say the last name?
Yes, that is her
I think
name.
so. She's in Tonight Alive, and great musician, and another great example of a woman in the scene kind of taking a stance on something and sharing, being vulnerable, I think, with their fans and with the world. So she talked about eating disorder awareness. And so one of the things she said was, what I can say about my recovery is before things started to change, I had to face some hard truths in my life. I realized, ironically, as I was suppressing things in my mind, my body was trying so hard to expel something. So I think it's really important, again, that they're using, their platform that they have to help other people that may be going through the same thing.
Exactly. Like, yeah, a lot of our scene, a lot of these people feel like misfits and outcasts, and that's why they're kind of drawn to a lot of this. And you know, all fans relate to the music on some level, and for them to take it a step further and for them to be able to relate to the artists on a more human level is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Jenna is fantastic musician. I'm not a huge Tonight Alive fan, but I think she's great.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them live with State Champs a few years back, and she has a lot of energy, and it translates into her performance, and it's great. And she's definitely always evolving as an artist too. Another artist who has evolved quite a bit, Laura Jane Grace of Against Me, very popular punk band in the scene, and she's absolutely incredible. I went to see Against Me in October, and it was really great vibes at the show. I'd never been really big into them, but my boyfriend got me into them, and I love it. And she grew to prominence before she came out as trans, and she was a very popular, like, highly visible punk rock musician, and she was one of the first to come out as transgender. A lot of her struggle with her gender dysphoria, it translated it into her music. It elevated it and made it more incredible. And she's definitely the kind of person to look up to, especially because trans people do struggle a lot in the country to kind of have a voice, and for someone so prominent to be like, hey, I'm here, it's okay, it's great, especially because she is someone who hasn't gone through her surgery, and she's like, that's okay, like, I'm still a woman, I'm still Laura Jane Grace, I'm still fantastic. Like, I say she's fantastic, she doesn't, I don't think she's that arrogant, but yeah.
That's awesome. I think another woman I'm excited to call out and shout out is Jess Bowen from, I guess, previously the Somerset. I think Jess actually now plays with 303 or toured with them for a while. But Jess Bowen, the most badass, coolest drummer, in my opinion, in the scene. And I think one of the only, like, female drummers I've really seen.
I think she's the only female drummer I know. I mean, I know that they're out there. I mean, we have a few coming up that we're going to talk about, but like, or for me to be originally like introduced to, I guess.
Right. Yeah, definitely the only one I've ever seen live. And she is so amazingly energetic and like just you can tell how into it she is. And I absolutely love it. So I think kind of a theme here is like all of these women are really using their platform to share their story and influence and use their journey to help other people. And Jess came out as a lesbian, I think, a couple years ago now. It's been like,
I think it's been a long time, yeah.
yeah, because I think it was still when the Somerset was doing stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't even remember not knowing she was a lesbian, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. But she shared some advice with fans about, you know, being honest with yourself and being proud of who you are and not being ashamed about who you love. And I think all of that is just an amazing message for her to be able to share.
Absolutely. You know, and then just some quick shout outs to women continuing to represent in the scene that are, you know, some smaller bands. So, you know, they're just building their careers. Bonnie Fraser from Stand Atlantic and Michaela Delgado from Yours Truly. Uh, I've started recently listening to these two bands and I love it. Like, I remember I think I was listening, it was probably off the Pop Punk's Not Dead playlist. And
I was just gonna say that. I'm pretty sure I've heard Stand Atlantic. They do Skinny Jeans, right?
maybe?
Or something like that. Okay, maybe not.
It's always nice when all of a sudden, especially like when you're listening to like a mixed playlist or something, and you know it's male voice after male voice after male voice, and then all of a sudden you hear a woman and you're like, oh, nice change of pace. Because I mean, as much as I love the pop punk scene and you know the music, it always speaks to me no matter what, and you know obviously every singer has their unique voice, but there is a particular, I guess, twang, if you will, for pop punk singers that they have this like kind of way of singing that's,
Yes, yeah.
you know, a little repetitive, I guess you could say. But you know, it's nice to see that women are continuing to come up and you know, really, you know, show that we're part of the scene too.
All right, and so we've shared a couple individual females in the scene, and one interesting all-female band that you guys should listen to is Dollskin. So all-female band in their early 20s, and they're really driving a new wave of pop punk with different kind of blends of sound, some more pop vibes and some more rock or heavy like My Chemical Romance. But what's interesting about them is instead of the rebellious boys kind of hating on their hometowns or breaking up with girls and going through stuff like that, these girls write about making it through their own version of hard times and self-empowerment. And you know, obviously you still got to write about relationships. Like we still go through that as women, but kind of talking about it as a different change of pace as a topic in pop punk.
Definitely. I love that. Even the relationship side of it, like everybody's going to write about relationships, but you know, when we hear these songs from these male bands, like we relate to them because everybody relates to heartbreak and whatever, but we don't relate to it coming from a male perspective. So seeing relationship songs coming from females is really, it's really cool for girls in the scene. And then so finally our last kind of punk band that we're going to talk about, and you know, I think these women are, you know, what the punk scene is about, you know, anarchy and all of that. Pussy Riot. They're a Russian protest punk rock group, and you know they have a significant amount of members, 11 I believe, and you know they've done like really kind of provocative performance in like out in the open and posted online and protesting against the Russian president and his policies, and they gained international attention when they were arrested quite a few years back. But yeah, you know, I think they're all what the punk scene is about. You know, just fighting against authority in, the best way they know how and expressing themselves. And I think they're great because they're outspoken supporters of feminist issues and LGBTQ issues. And like Kelly said before, there's a theme with all these women in the scene, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they are all using their platforms to talk about things that really matter to women, because everybody can love any sort of music, and obviously we love pop punk, but in a male dominated scene, as much as it is relatable, it's also not. So seeing a lot of these women fight for you and support you is definitely great, and I think it'll continue to grow and bring more women into the scene.
Love it.
So now that we're feeling all empowered and stuff,
girl power.
yes, absolutely. What was it that it was Cheetah Girls growl power. That's what I was thinking of.
Cheetah Girls, cheetah power.
Yes. So now it is time for music news. I'm like singing, trying to do a news jingle. It doesn't sound like anything like our news jingle.
It definitely didn't sound like a news jingle.
So first thing, Four Chord Music Festival announced their lineup. Now, I've never been to Four Chord Music Festival, but I've always wanted to. And I thought it was in the UK or something, but it turns out it's in Pittsburgh. So realistically, I could go. It's just quite a far drive.
Good.
I mean, maybe we could go, Cal. Make a day of it.
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh's 6-hour drive from me.
I have no idea. I've never looked that up before.
But we've got it's got a crazy good lineup. Blink-182 is gonna be there. The Used, State Champs, 4 Year Strong, The Ataris, Sleep on It, Patent Pending, Fortune Cover, Hit the Lights, Eternal Boy, Keep Flying, and Look Out Loretta. Now there's half those bands we've talked about on this show already, and we're just on episode 3. Mm-hmm. So you can see that this was definitely our kind of stuff. But it is July 11th, and tickets are now available. And these kind of festivals, Four Chord's been around a while, but Sad Summerfest last year was their first thing. These festivals are definitely going to get bigger turnouts than they probably would have maybe a couple years back, because things like Warped Tour are gone and everything. The only thing is that I wonder whether, if things keep going the way they are, it'll get postponed or canceled because of the coronavirus. Actually, Newfound Glory and Simple Plan, though their tour is not for quite a while, they are going to be monitoring to see if they're going to end up canceling things, even though they just announced new tour dates. So it's definitely all stuff to keep track of. Actually, Alternative Press has a tracker for tours and cancellations, so check that out on their site.
Another piece of music news and festival related announcements to share. A new festival is coming our way, the 320 Music Festival. And this is a project that Warped Tour founder Kevin Lyman and Talinda Bennington, who was married to the late Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, they're working together to announce this first ever 320 Music Festival. And it's taking place in LA on May 9th. And what's important about this festival in particular is it's bringing awareness to the importance of mental health, and there'll be a free community music and film festival, a mental health summit, a benefit concert. So this one is pretty cool and exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great for, again, we're a community. It's good to see people doing good things for it. Mental health is super important. So I kind of want to hate Kevin Lyman for starting a new festival, but it's hard to when it's for such a great cause. And yeah. Kelly, did you mention that it's free, right?
Yes, it is a free festival, so mark your calendar. All you got to do is buy a ticket to California if you're not there.
On a less happy, positive note, fucking Logan Paul, man. I hate that. I don't even want to call him a man so much.
Oh my god.
No,
So
he's a
aggressive.
terrible YouTuber, and I don't even want to give him a platform, but I just need to get this off my chest. Um, but yeah, he's a YouTuber who's had tons of controversies, and I have a background in influencer marketing and the like, and I've had to like kind of go through and find influencers and stuff, and Logan Paul's just crossed my radar so many times, and I just think he's a piece of shit, and he's he kind of used emo culture to propagate his bullshit. He did apparently a while back, like there was a picture of this emo guy who looked a lot like him, and it became this kind of meme thing, and so he took that and kind of became this dude dressed up all emo, and put like fake piercings in, put eyeliner on, and so he did like a whole like a little emo video and showed him like different places being like rocking out to what was it? It was oh, God, I don't even remember the song. I was so angry listening to it, but it was either no, I'm not okay, or Helena. No. I'm lying completely. It was Welcome to the Black Parade. It was Welcome to the Black Parade, and that's why I couldn't remember, because all I was thinking was, I'm like, that boy better get Gerard Way's vocals out of his bitch ass fucking lip syncing mouth. Because no, I was just so angry the entire time. And there's been a lot of backlash from the emo community. People saying Roaring Twenties canceled, and it was a phase. I was emo, but I am no longer, because nobody wants to associate with that garbage. All right, rant done. Kelly,
Tell us how you really feel. Hold back a little more.
I mean, I could go a little bit more. But we'll move on.
Oh my god. Another piece of music news / maybe investigation for all of us. Fall Out Boy's music videos are disappearing from YouTube, and that, first of all, makes me very upset. And they're the music videos from Under the Cork Tree. And so Sugar, We're Going Down, Dance Dance, those music videos are, for some mysterious reason, just disappearing from the YouTube. They are the YouTube.
I think they actually came.
And like
I think they actually came back though.
So I guess it happened a couple times though, like over the past couple of years. They'll just like randomly go missing, and people will get an error when they're trying to play it, and just like no one knows why that happens. But this wasn't the first time it happened. It happened like a couple of years ago.
They're just trying to be like, ooh, mysterious. Pay attention to us because we're becoming irrelevant.
Well, like, I don't know if they're doing that because maybe they've like got something coming, and they're like, oh, maybe people will, pay attention to that. These videos aren't there, and then
maybe
it's just
brilliant marketing, because look, we're talking about it.
Mate, I guess it's working, because now I want to know.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll find out if anything actually comes of it, or if it was just a YouTube error. And YouTube's just like, you know what? Fuck Fall Out Boy. I'm gonna delete all their videos.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, any news is good news for them, yeah. I guess.
So we talked about last week. I keep saying last week, but we're a bi-weekly podcast. Last time on the Mosh Pit, it's like a soap opera. Last time on the Mosh Pit, we talked about a lot of new music. New Found Glory was one of those bands because they have an upcoming album, and I'm gonna get the album name right this time. Forever. No, I didn't. Forever and Ever times infinity. It's really hard to say forever and ever like really quickly. I don't know.
Forever and ever.
Okay,
Forever and ever. Forever and ever.
Say it 5 more times fast.
Forever and ever, forever and ever, forever and ever, forever and ever, forever and ever.
Whatever. Anyways. Anyways.
You're welcome.
They just released another song off the album, Nothing to Say. And Chad Gilbert explained a bit about it, and it's kind of for friend groups that have that one friend who's just always really negative and has nothing good to say, and they're just always creating a split or doubt between everybody else, and someone who's just gonna talk behind your back and just be negative. And they want this song to kind of be a fun release for people who deal with those friendships. And, they're not saying, like, to drop those people, but, make boundaries. And, I mean, I agree to an extent, but, we've talked a lot about mental health this episode, and I think at a certain point, those people are just toxic, and you do need to drop them. But, yeah, obviously, first, they're your friends for a reason, so try to set those limits with them. But, I loved the song. It was fun. Like, it was a little bit more punkish. And I think this album overall is seeming more punkish. So I'm like really stoked for it because the guitar at the end was just heavier and it reminded me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. And I will figure it out eventually. And then I'm just going to scream it from the rooftops or our social media at the Moshpit Pod on Facebook and Instagram, at Moshpit Pod on Twitter. And, but no, it's great. And I'm really digging the vibe for this album. It's much better than the last one, which I can't even remember the name of it, which had a Happy Being Miserable on it and all of that on it. And I mean, it was an okay album, but it was definitely a way different Newfound Glory than I'm accustomed to. And not different in a good way necessarily,
Yeah, I mean, the last one was real catchy, but it didn't feel like Newfound Glory at all.
But another note about this song, Twitter stans, we've talked about stan culture before, but Twitter stans for Hayley Williams came out against the song, thinking it was against her, and some even went as far as to say that, they said the word whore in the song. First of all, they didn't, because it's a lyric video, and all the words are on the screen, so I don't know where they got the word whore from. And I mean,
oh god,
I can totally understand.
Way to go, internet!
Right? Like, I can totally understand defending Hayley and all of that, but I think this just kind of came out of nowhere because they came out and said what the song was about. It was not about Hayley. It was about friendships and toxic friendships, and there was no mention of the word whore anywhere. So everybody just needs to calm down and enjoy the song. And, relate to it because you probably have shitty friends. I don't have shitty friends. I have great friends.
Thanks for clarifying that.
So I like the song, but I can't relate to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Our last piece of music news for you is another new song. And it's from our favorite band of all time, All Time Low.
Woo!
Thank you. All Time Low released Getaway Green this morning at 9 my time, and it was very exciting. So this was the third song that they've now released off of their upcoming album, Wake Up Sunshine, which comes out on April 3rd. We're all very excited about that. But there was a lot of drama leading up to today's release of this song, and it involved the kidnapping of Ryan Dawson, the drummer, and he was kidnapped by the infamous Panda that we talked about on our last episode.
That Panda, man. I think I pissed him off. I think that's what happened, and I think he took Ryan for it.
I guess so. Sorry, Ryan. Guess it's our fault. But thankfully, this morning, Ryan was released, as well as their song, Getaway Green. So my take on the song, obviously, I absolutely love everything that All-Time Low puts into this world. But my favorite part of this song was the opening riff. I just could listen to that on repeat, just like chop it right there and listen to that riff on repeat for like days. I love it so much. But the song in general, I thought was pretty good. You know, like I said, anything that comes from them, I'm going to love.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think I liked it a lot, and I realized that they've played it live before. I did not realize this until I heard it. I think it was at the Nothing Personal anniversary shows that they did back in December. They played it live. But I really enjoyed it. I think Sleeping In is still my number one so far, but I definitely dig Getaway Green. And I really like, you know, I used to not be a fan of like music videos that have like footage from live shows, but something about them I've definitely come around to them, because like watching it just because it's also like behind the scenes stuff, and it's so like I guess normal almost. It's like human, and you know, I'm all about that authentic feel, and it's just it was just nice seeing like, you know, them doing what they do, doing what they love, and seeing it's almost like experiencing the concerts like you do normally, but you know, through a screen. Yeah, but I definitely dig the song, and like I've said before, I'm super stoked for this album. I will probably lock myself in my room for a full 48 hours and listen to the album on repeat for all 48 hours.
I know. I mean, we're currently locked inside, so it would be really nice to have it right now.
Right?
Just a little bit early. But I think I got so excited today because like a new song, and I'm working from home and stuck in my house and all of that. So it was really, really exciting to get a new song to kind of brighten my day. And I also think it's cool that they released Getaway Green on St. Patrick's Day. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All the green themes.
You know what? I think we should issue our listeners a challenge. And I think that they should tweet at all of All-Time Low, every single individual and the band account. And they should be like, the Moshpit, or at Moshpit Pod, told us to tell you to release the full album while we're in quarantine. You cowards. Hashtag Mosh on. That is the tweet. At Moshpit Pod told us to tell you to release Wake Up Sunshine for quarantined people. You cowards. Hashtag Mosh on.
I would be shocked if people aren't already saying that to them.
Right?
Seriously. I have to go search Twitter, but I'm sure they're getting those already.
Well, but the point is for them to know that it's coming from us.
Fair. It was our idea all along.
Exactly. We were the first ones.
Yeah.
We're ahead of the curve. And just a quick note about Getaway Green, because our other co-host, Brianne, you know, laying in her sick bed, could not be here today. Her note on Getaway Green is she liked it, but it's her least favorite so far of all the singles released. And that's all we could get out of her before, you know, she was rasping so much that we couldn't understand a word she was saying. Did I do a good imitation? Yeah?
Actually, yeah.
I mean, I actually really kind of creeped myself out. I sounded really like a creature or something. But that's all we got for you in music news this time around. And now we're going to move into our Pride and Disastour review. Both Kelly and I, in our different states, went to go see Sleep on It. Before we even get into it, I just want to say, you know, I'm a big fan of like clever tour names, and I fucking love this. I absolutely love.
I loved this one. It's awesome.
In case you're not familiar with Sleep on It, they just released an album a few months back, right? It was in the winter, like November. I don't know, remember when it was, but it's called Pride and Disaster. So they named their tour Pride and Disastour. Ha ha, LOL. You know I'm a big fan of the bad puns, so.
Oh my God. I had such a fun time at this show. It was at, so I attended in Boston, and it was at a new venue that I had never been to before. It's relatively, it opened relatively recently, so I hadn't had the opportunity to go to a show there yet. But it's also it's amazing. It's like a ballroom, so there's like a chandelier, and it's pretty small inside. So I love the venue in general, but it was overall a really great show, I thought, and I was able to see two of the opening bands, Between You and Me, who we'll talk about a little bit more later, and Bearings was the other opening band that I was able to see, and both of them were awesome. And obviously Sleep On It always slays it, so they did an amazing job and really like worked the crowd for sure. Probably my biggest takeaway from this show was the people watching, and like the crowd at this show was just like so interesting and eclectic, like more than I've seen at some other shows I've been to. So two things in particular: there was a group of middle-aged women that were just like having the absolute time of their life at this show. Like they were just like having such a blast. One of them crowd surfed a couple times. They were just like drinking in a circle, like behind like the mass of the crowd. They were just like standing there, like yelling and drinking and like whatever.
Hell yeah, goals.
Exactly what I was thinking. Like I was looking at these women, I'm like, can we just do this in however many years and just like be those people? Because they're just like don't have a care in the world and they're just having a great time. So that was awesome. And then on a little bit of the other end of the spectrum, there was a 5-year-old at this show, and he was pretty much on his dad's shoulders like throughout most of the show, so you could kind of like see him over the crowd, and the band could see him really easily too. So the band like kept calling him out, and like his name is Landon. We did a Landon chant for like 5 minutes. It was awesome.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. I love it when parents bring their little kids to pop punk shows and everything, because it's such a like, it's like, yeah, it's going to continue on because these little guys are going to keep going. And, you know, even when I'm like 45, like I'm going to know that there's going to be shows for me to go to because these parents know how to raise their kids.
Totally. And so after the show, I forget who it was, one of the band members tagged a picture of him, of Landon, the little boy. And it turns out he has his parents set up an Instagram for him with like pictures of him meeting all the bands and like at shows and stuff. I think it's the most adorable thing ever. I am his newest Instagram follower.
Oh my God, I want to follow him now. Let's give him a shout out.
We totally should.
What's his Instagram?
I'll find it. Crowd surfer or something, I think.
Well, that's fantastic. The people watching is like my favorite part of it. There was actually it was really interesting interaction I saw at my show. Was this girl and this guy came over to like where I was standing, like near the front, and she was like, because I was at a floor show, so there was like bars along the wall that you could kind of like just lean on or sit on. So she sat up on it, and he was just there, and then he was like rocking out, and then he started singing with this girl, like singing to each other, and I was like looking at the girl that was on the bar. I'm like, is she getting jealous? But it turns out they weren't even together, and I was super confused. And then I think I just saw a new love blossom between these other two people, and it was fantastic.
You just never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, for sure. So did you find the little
his
crowd surfer?
Instagram? Yeah, it is. It's Little Crowd Surfer is his Instagram. Follow him. He seems like the coolest kid ever.
Oh my God, I love him.
Isn't he the cutest?
That's fantastic. I'm scrolling through and he's just the coolest little dude. Oh my God, he's got a beanie and his little jean jackets. Oh, oh my God, he's with State Champs.
I know.
I'm obsessed. I'm his biggest fan now.
Yeah.
Well, I had a great time at my show too. It was also at a smaller venue. like I said, it was a floor show, so super intimate. It was actually at a brewery down by me, Asbury Park Brewery. And I this is the second time I've been there. The other time was also a Sleep On It show. And it's really fun because like it's the crowd isn't big, so you could easily just kind of roll up to the front and roll out, go grab a drink, and then go back in. But finish your drink before you go back into the crowd because, you know, you don't want to spill beer on people, which happened at the show, which is why I'm mentioning it. But no, the sets were great. I also really enjoyed Between You and Me and Bearings. Bearings actually had to restart a song because the circle pit that they encouraged of 5 people semi-injured someone up at the front, and so we had to like stop for a few minutes to make sure she was okay. She was okay, so don't worry, everyone. And then they restarted the song and they restarted the circle pit, but it ended up being more of a ring around the rosy kind of circle pit because we were trying to be careful and not hurt each other. So no, that was actually a lot of fun. It was pretty funny. And Sleep On It was bomb as always. It was really cool. Like, I mean, I really liked Pride and Disaster, but I prefer their previous album, and I really liked hearing those songs, but hearing Pride and Disaster live made me kind of want to give the album a second chance and listen to it some more. And, you know, Zek was fantastic and he has a great stage presence, and you know, talking again about using your platform. Somehow we accidentally always end up with a theme of our show.
We did this totally by accident.
Yeah,
but we did.
But Zach, you know, he was talking a bit about politics before falling further faster, and you know, whether you agree with him or not, his message was general in the sense that, you know, we have to kind of give a shit about each other, and you know, just go vote. And so I always appreciate that, like when like I said, when people use their platform to do good.
Totally awesome show.
Yeah. And while Kelly didn't experience this at our show, I, like I mentioned, did, and I need to reiterate it because, you know, this episode is a concert etiquette episode, and we'll be doing some small concert etiquette bits every other episode. So as part of the Pride and Disaster recap, I just want to say anyone drinking beer should not go into the crowd and the pit, because most of the time it's on tap and that shit is flying everywhere. I don't want it in my hair. I don't want your coronavirus beer in my mouth. And so get that shit away from me. Go to the edges, go to the back where there's sparseness. So again, do not drink your beer in the crowd, or especially not in the pit. That's the worst place. I think we have to
extend this concert etiquette piece to say anyone drinking like anything, I think, unless it's a sealed water bottle, should not have that. I mean, even if you have a can, like, it's gonna go places if you're jumping around. Hopefully you're jumping around and having a good time in there. And either way, if you have something in your hand, it's getting on someone else.
Exactly. So just water bottles.
No beverages.
No beverages in the crowd.
Bottles.
Sealed water bottles. That's it. That's all. And that is your concert etiquette for the month of March. How was that one? Is
beautiful.
Am I doing better? Beautiful. I'm doing better?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I'm so proud.
Great. So on that note, we're going to move forward. We talked about the openers for the Pride and Disaster tour. But Between You and Me was one of them. I thoroughly enjoyed them. So did Kelly. So they are our band spotlight of the bi-week.
The episode?
Of the episode? Band spotlight of the episode? That's what I'm gonna call it. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, Between You and Me really earned it. We both I think this was the first time either of us had heard them live, or I don't know if for you too, Michelle, but
it had been.
Time. Yeah, so they just really put on an amazing show, and they were so much fun. So we wanted to make them our band spotlight for this episode so we could tell you some more about them and share some of our favorite of their songs so you can go listen to them and give them some love. So between you and me, they hail from the land of Australia.
Down under.
Down under. And I had absolutely, I just didn't know that, honestly, before the show. So when they got on stage and started talking, I was surprised to hear an accent.
Honestly, most times for me, when a band's Australian or from the UK or something, I have no idea until I see them live. And then I'm like, oh, accent. Okay.
Yeah. Same thing happened to me with Confidence. I had no idea they were from Australia too. But so, yep, they hail from Australia, and they had kind of an interesting journey to get formed and things like that. So Jake Wilson is the vocalist and frontman, and he was kind of discovered on YouTube. So he posted some stuff on YouTube and was listening to some other bands and things on YouTube, and he went to audition for this band that had posted some covers and stuff that he liked, and so they ended up forming a band. So now we've got Jake and two guitarists, and the two guitarists are, I think, Jai. I'm so sorry if I pronounce that wrong, but Jai and Chris, guitarist, and then drummer Chris, and Chris's brother Jamie is the bassist, I believe. Oh no, drummer. Chris's brother Jamie is the drummer, and then James is the bassist. So awesome 5-piece, and they are currently signed to Hopeless Records. They've got at least one full length out currently, I believe. Right? Everything is Temporary, I think, is their most recent full length, but they've also got some newer singles and stuff out. So a couple of our favorite songs of theirs are Dakota, Overthinking, Famous, and Twice Shy. And so we'll share those songs with you so you can go give them a listen. But they've got a really cool sound, pretty like traditional pop punk energy, I would say.
I mean, if we delve into the songs a bit, Kelly mentioned a few of the songs of theirs that we liked. It's those, going back to those typical pop punk topics. Dakota is very much like scorned by my ex-girlfriend. He's
scorned lover tale.
Yeah, basically, he's like, I saw your boyfriend yesterday. He looked at me with the same face. I'm not singing them, so it's okay that I can read the lyrics. But and he talks about how she's with this other guy, and then he's like, basically, you know what? Hey, Dakota, you can piss right off, and you'll keep your hands to yourself and remove my name from your mouth. And that's exactly like when you're like feeling really shitty about a breakup and you hate them and everything. That's exactly how you feel. You want them to like fuck off and just stay away from you. And no, they've got a really great vibe, and I think their music is relatable for sure. And I mean,
totally.
You said they were off of Hopeless Records. Hopeless Records, you can never go wrong with bands off of Hopeless Records.
No, you just can't. You really can't. They're all amazing.
Yes, 100%. Like the other song they mentioned, Overthinking. I am relating so hard to that right now. I've actually been listening since I saw them on the Pride and Disastour. I have been listening to Overthinking some more, because it's to me it felt a little bit more like I don't actually know what the song's about because I haven't looked into it, but for me it felt a lot about like kind of like the job grind and everything, and that's what I took
it as too.
Yeah, me too. Like, have I been pushing pen to paper instead of catching up on sleep? Most likely, yes, because I am a millennial that lives about that. Grew up on a work culture, and you just gotta keep grinding, and eventually you'll get it all. But I'm sick of that shit.
Yeah, seriously. It's like an anthem for like working age people. It's just like
100%.
it really is.
Exactly. Like, eventually you just kind of, it drones on, and it becomes so routine that you don't realize you're unhappy. And then you're like, oh, wow, yeah, no, this sucks. And, one of the lyrics there is, these days I don't feel anything except the emptiness inside my chest. And, the only thing I can say, like, going a little off topic to that, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate to it, the daily grind and whatever. And a lot of in the pop punk scene are adults with working jobs, and just find something outside of work that fulfills you. Like, that's kind of why we're doing the Mosh Pit, aside from the fact that we love pop punk and just can't stop talking about it. But it's a nice little outlet for us to have something that we enjoy, and outside of soul crushing work. Oh man. But yeah, no, between you and me, I keep wanting to call them between me and you. I keep getting that wrong. They're great. You should definitely listen to them. Kel, you really like Twice Shy off of that from them, right?
Yeah, I think definitely listen to the top songs that we shared, but Twice Shy, and then a couple more off of their Everything Is Temporary full-length album. That whole album really has some awesome songs on it that you should check out too.
Yeah, definitely. And like last time we posted on our Facebook our Point North playlist. We'll post a Between You and Me playlist for you guys on our Facebook. Again, that's at the Mosh Pit Pod. So that's kind of all we've got for you this time. Eventually we're gonna go to a weekly podcast, and I won't be wrong when I say that.
Yeah.
But again, we want everyone to stay safe. If you're being quarantined, stay in unless absolutely necessary. But this pandemic is affecting everyone, so love each other and be kind. But for this specifically, support your favorite bands. There's tons of ways you can do that.
Yeah, this is, a tough time. Bands are having to cancel their tours, and that's where a lot of bands get their income. So let's try to support them in the best ways we can. So buy merch, any kind of merch. Go to your favorite band's website, buy their album, buy some t-shirts, buy whatever they're selling, and try to support them if you can. Stream their music. We'll share a playlist for our band spotlight today, but any of your other favorite bands, stream their music, tell your friends about it, and make sure other people are getting to hear your bands too. Buy concert tickets if they've got upcoming summer tours or even tours after that.
That hopefully won't get canceled, and hopefully this calms down in a while.
Hopefully. And if anything has been canceled, you've missed out on a tour because of this, consider not asking for a refund. They've, probably lost a lot of money doing this also. So if you can spare it, I bet that would kind of help them through this tough time.
Yeah, because it's not even just the bands, it's the venues too. Like, if you're asking for a refund, they've already been planning for these shows ahead of time. They've taken, their liquor orders and everything, and they can't take that stuff back. So it's gonna, kind of sit there not making money for them. So it's not just the bands, it's the venues, it's everybody that's involved in the community. And so again, like I said, love each other and be kind. So until next time, mosh on, my friends.